Jacob with 70. Dun, 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 dun,
Trying to
dun,
get.
dun,
See, I
dun.
can't get my hand
Dun,
in
dun,
this
dun,
thing.
dun, dun. What's the date today?
Oh, well, it matches your shirt.
No, well, no. This is Mac, and it's like, oh,
Look.
they're crosswires. It's not right on. It matches the background. But you know what? These winds really jacked on my lips. They're like super dry.
Well, that's understandable. If you're out in the 87 million mile an hour winds, which weren't too bad today.
But you know what? I wasn't even out there. But I still think the weather just like I could feel it from the inside of the house. And it got me from, you know what I mean? Does that make sense? Does that happen?
No.
Yeah, it does. It totally does. Anyways, I wanted to go over this really quick to make sure that people know about it to go to the farmers market tomorrow. Beginning at 8 a.m. They're going to have a Halloween costume contest beginning at 11. And they're going to have some treats and stuff for the little ones. I think it'll be a lot of fun.
There you go.
And go buy some fresh food and support our local farmers. That's located off of Frederick and Alessandro.
Yes.
And a little funny to kind of brighten your day a little bit. This is going to be
me before the quarantine, me after the quarantine of that. That is hilarious. And they have said, and I mean, I've seen some reports to be real serious about it. Yeah, it has happened. A lot of people have put on a few pounds over this pandemic.
Yeah. But you know what I think, too? A lot of people are kind of taking a look at their lifestyle and maybe changing that a little bit, too. So, I don't know. Maybe a little bit.
Something or other.
I think now that it's gone on for so long, I think people are starting to change it. And National Day today is National First Responders Day. Thank you to all our first responders who...
You know who gets short-term? The ambulance drivers.
They do.
You know,
I have to agree.
Nobody... They are, they're the ones that if you are in trouble, I mean, when they're the ones that got to get you to the hospital, and like they say, the golden, it's seconds and minutes, can be the difference between, a full recovery and that. So yeah, I've always said that that's always intrigued me why the ambulance drivers always get the short change on the first responder thing. It's like they don't even exist. You hardly ever hear anybody ever talk about them, but they're just as important as anybody else in our public safety realm.
Exactly. Thank you, all our ambulance drivers and first responders out there. We appreciate all that you do. I was going to go to school to actually do that. I know. Think I can handle it?
No. Yeah, I'd like to see you loading the people up on the gurney and.
Hey, I got some mom strength going on though. All right, we're going on Facebook.
Yeah.
I do. Feel it. There's something. Look at that.
A little bit.
Whatever.
There's that funky slide guitar music that comes on every Monday through Friday, live at 5 on Twitch, Facebook, and
on YouTube. Make sure you hit that like and subscribe button and share us all over to your world.
There you go.
And go on Instagram too and like that page as well.
On a washed up Wednesday.
Yep.
You were getting. You changed
I typed it up too, and I can't even remember.
You type one up, and then you say, "Well, I'm going to change it," and then you go back to the one you originally go to.
I for whatever reason, I was fine most of the day, and then all of a sudden, out of nowhere, like this fog just came, and then even you too. You're like, before we go on, we're never like zombied out. We're totally zombied out today.
Yes, I don't know. Is everybody in a zombie, or is everybody zombieing out? Or I think maybe
I think it's the weather and all the fires.
I think fatigue of everything. The fatigue of going on, of that. It just seems like there's no good news going back and forth.
The Dodgers won yesterday.
Let's bring, then that's one, and we don't really care about that per se because we're boycotting most of all pro sports. If
I was going to refer a team, it wouldn't be the Dodgers. So,
but this guy should have been named MVP of the World Series. And to see the apoplectic heart attacks that are going on over this little incident that happened after the World Series. As you said, the Dodgers won. What does the winning team do after they win the championship of that?
Don't they normally go to Disneyland?
No, right after that.
Oh, they run out to the field.
Correct. And they all celebrate. They are happy that they won whatever World Series, Super Bowl, Stanley Cup, World Championship, whatever. That's what and okay, you're a major league ball player, you win the World Series. I mean, you probably dreamt of being a baseball player since you were a kid. And you put in, God knows, countless hours, of your entire life dedicated to this sport. And you finally get to the pinnacle of it. And again, this is so apropos of 2020. Flip up number 4, please. This is in USA Today. Major League Baseball says Justin Turner emphatically refused to comply and stay in isolation after COVID-19 positive. This is what happened.
Wait, what?
Yes. This is at Arlington, Texas, where the Game 6 was played. Major League Baseball was just 2 innings away from pulling off an upset, completing its 2020 season in the middle of a global pandemic. First, right there. No, Major League Baseball should be condemned for not returning to normal, having fans in the stands, and completely or almost completely ignoring that. Baseball players, of the lowest of the low group that would be in any sort of danger from COVID-19 or flus, I would think it would be baseball players, athletes, big and strong, in the best shape, in their 20s and 30s mostly, like in this almost zero risk of anything other than maybe if you get it having the sniffles and maybe you feel bad for a day or two. Further going on from the articles, it was showing the world it was possible to safely return to work providing health and safety protocols are followed. No. You are showing the world how you are going to comply. That's what you are showing. That, you know what? If we decide you cannot go to a baseball game, we're going to pull the plug. A phone call and subsequent irresponsible actions left as a scar on the world to see. Commissioner Rob Manafort got the telephone call that Dodgers third baseman Justin Turner tested positive for COVID-19. He immediately telephoned Dodgers owner Mark Walter and President Andrew Friedman and ordered them to get Turner off the field immediately as quickly as possible. Turner was removed in order to stay in isolation room outside the clubhouse. This is while the game is going on. The game wrapped up, the World Series trophy celebration commenced, and Manafort left the field. Manfred left the field only for Turner to return and join in the celebration. And congratulations, hoorah, you did it. Justin Turner, there he is sitting in there. You got it. Justin Turner sitting there with the trophy, celebrating with his teammates. They won the World Series, and they're trying to spin this as some sort of, the world's coming to an end. He was COVID positive, and he was out there with his teammates celebrating.
But he doesn't have a mask on.
Good.
Dun, dun, dun.
And neither do any of the other ones, and they shouldn't. What danger of it is of any of these guys having...
So he didn't get to play, though.
No, he was jerked in the 7th inning. He had taken a test sometime, I don't know when. Somehow, he got...
7th inning last night,
Yes!
He got pulled from the game?
Correct!
How dumb.
Exactly! On that, and then they put him in isolation, and it's a wonder they didn't have a gulag in the deal and locked him up. They will probably have this now in your major sports deal. If you get test positive for COVID, they'll probably put you in a jail cell because of this. Again, they should name the trophy after Justin Turner on this for doing that, for basically telling them, F you guys are stupid. For one thing, that yes, they shouldn't have pulled him from the game. He was out there anyway in the 7th, like 2 more innings or whatever, and the whole world, and they're, You read the proposition in the USA Today, and the dominant media is going all apoplectic of this. This is why we don't care about, or we're not broadcasting the sports stuff until the players got some. Justin Turner's got some balls. The commissioners and the league and all the others have none for doing this stupid stuff and perpetuating this stuff. You know what? If I was president of the Dodgers and I got that phone call, I'd have told the commissioner, stuff it up your ass. I ain't pulling nobody. This is stupid. See you later, and we'll deal with this later. You can fine the hell out of me. Go ahead. The publicity will be worth more than any stupid fine you're going to do.
Maybe. It's the Dodgers. They already got a lot of publicity. But you know what really... So they're focused on that. But yeah, when the Dodgers win, did you see all the damage they did out in L.A.? There was a guy getting up on the street pole, like on the street light with the red and yellow. On top of there, waving his little jersey, breaking all the police vehicles' windows, spray painting them, breaking windows to buildings because a team won. Because they won. That makes no sense. Maybe they were mad that he got pulled.
The low rent mentality of what we have become. And look at LA. Look at as, I will tell you this. You can equate your quality of life, your community's quality of life, to the economic status of that community. And as the aerospace and the industry moved out of Los Angeles, Southern California in the 80s with the extremely good paying jobs of that, and we replaced them with lower wages, lower per capita income, and everything else, and this is what you get. Yeah, any community that's a poor community usually looks like, full of trash, cars up on blocks, houses in disrepair of anything else. And this is what you get. And then perpetuating this whole the cops are bad, get rid of the police, yada yada yada.
I think they were destroying the cars because they were out there. I saw a couple of people were arrested, as they should be when you're damaging private property, especially police vehicles. Stupid. Neon Love Machine writes in on YouTube, they are showing you how to rig a game with politics and make fake medical protocol.
Yes. Exactly. That's what I say. Justin Turner should have been MVP of the World Series for going out there and telling and showing the world, no, COVID-19 is not the end of the world of that. In fact, except what Major League Baseball, the president of the Dodgers, and all these pro sports deals, and LeBron James of that complete idiot who will not stand up for the cops on first responders days, would not respond to that, and putting the Black Lives Matter stuff, you're for a racist organization. If you want to play politics, then let's play politics. But what you're doing is complying with this, is you're systematically screwing everyone in the United States. Let's knock off the race stuff, LeBron. You are destroying all of us. Justin Turner should be the poster child for the pro athlete and giving the middle finger to the establishment that the LeBron Jameses and stuff are sitting there in lockstep going. And we're going to say, this is a good segue because we didn't cover it last night. I wanted to cover it today because this was Tuesday morning at the Riverside County Board of Supervisors meeting. And you wonder why I call it Gavin's Gulag. And I forget her name, but this is one of the Temecula chicks that shows up there all the time on that. And she had a perfect sign up there. And we're going to run a little bit of her clip, and then the next gentleman that comes up is
He was
what
ready.
I have been warning the Board of Supervisors, and I think most of you listening are on board with what we're talking about, said there's a powder keg going on out here. And when
what?
A powder keg is getting ready to blow out here. Powder keg is the powder like you use for dynamite or in a cannon. And
just in case our viewers didn't know what the hell you were referring to.
For those of you in...
You're welcome. Thank me later.
In that. No, I've been warning that. I've been sending them, trying to explain that to them. I did, but we're not going to run my clip today because I think these two were simultaneously done on that.
I'm proud of you.
On that. And we are going to do this so here's the Temecula chick on the first deal of that, and we're going to get about 20 seconds of that, and then we're going to get the gentleman who stepped up after her words. Oh, there she goes. I just wanted you to show the Gavin Gulag song. Here he is.
No, I've never attended anything like this, but I saw it out here and listened.
Stop right there.
You know, I can't think of a greater honor.
There he said right off the beginning, I have never attended anything like this before. And this is what I have been seeing. People who have not shown up ever or very rarely at public meetings have been coming out. Amongst the cases when they're telling you you gotta wear a mask and do this and treating you like you're a 3-year-old in there, Sheriff Chad, going on. Here you go. Here he is on that now. This is about 2 minutes or so of this. Pay close attention to what this gentleman is saying.
And to represent people and their interests, their dreams, and the things that are important to them. You like get paid almost $200,000 a year to do that. Raise your hands. Which one of you has not taken a paycheck since March? To have solidarity with the lives your decisions destroy. And I've noticed you in particular, friend. You're arrogant. You're watching that clock.
Who he is pointing to at that particular point is Chairman of the Riverside County Board of Supervisors, Victor Manuel Perez, who got appointed to the seat and then elected, I think, by Jerry Brown and the Democrats, and he was a fouled-up leader when he led the Assembly of the state of California. So you want to know why Riverside County is effed up? The state of California is effed up. There is the former Speaker of the Assembly, now Chairman, presiding officer over the Riverside County Board of Supervisors, Victor Manuel Perez, and this guy states it exactly right. Remember the last time I was there and he said I was yelling, and I was not, because he is arrogant, and when you don't like what he's saying, he lets you know big time. Here we go.
One guy says a word that's a little foul. You didn't hear a thing he said about the person he loved and the loneliness of dying with nobody there. You didn't care about that. You cared about the word he used, though. You sit there and you look at your clock and you worry about every second that ticks by. Yeah, you're arrogant. You don't represent the interests of the people that pay you $200,000 a year, friend. And you come in here, I'll bet you're in here once a week with your little facts and figures. You know what the #1 predicator of a person that's going to suffer a bad outcome with COVID? Do you know? I assume since you're in the middle position there, you're the leader. Do you know? What's the #1 predicator? You don't know, do you? It's obesity, okay? So if you're obese and you get COVID, you got a problem. Kind of like one of your little heroes, Nancy, running around with no mask on in a beauty salon that should have been closed. Same thing with this district, right? The people that run the health department in this state that are making decisions that are ruining people's lives. You're not that worried about it. How many people died of cancer in this county so far this year on a daily average? Do you know? How many have died of COVID daily average since March? Do you know? Do you know? You don't. 6 a day, average. 20 die of cancer every day.
Thank you for your testimony, sir.
Day in, day out.
Thank you for your testimony,
Week
Ray.
in, week out. You're going to listen.
Thank you for your testimony. Thank you for your testimony.
You have this lack of passion when you can't.
Thank you for your testimony, sir. Thank you for your testimony.
Okay.
Thank you for your testimony, sir.
I hope I run into you at the supermarket, friend.
Thank you for your testimony, sir. Appreciate it. Is that a threat?
That was a threat.
Thank you. You represent us.
That was a threat.
Okay, so you can make your own judgment, but I agree in my experience with Victor Manuel Perez, and I'm going to fault the other 4 members because I told them, and Karen Spiegel, much to her credit, got me a opinion from the legal counsel of what it is. The Riverside County Board of Supervisors, the other 4 members cannot overrule or correct or do anything to stop the chairman.
Who's
That
the
is
chairman?
Victor Manuel Perez, the
Okay.
gentleman sitting in the center as the guy referenced. as you see in the picture. Pull up number 4 of that.
Please.
The guy that,
Please. Okay.
of that. The guy that's sitting in the center, right under the County of Riverside and the seal, is Victor Manuel Perez. He was
Okay.
Speaker of the House
Right.
of the Assembly of the State of California. He was an Assembly member. He got appointed by Jerry Brown to the supervisor seat because he's getting termed out. This is why term limits don't work, but that's a story for a different day. But that man is arrogant, like he did with me. Oh, you don't need to yell. I was not yelling. I was making a point. Because I'm not talking in soft
You were
tones.
but you get loud sometimes. You
NPR
probably got
and
loud.
and asking, please, Manuel Perez, will you give us a little candy? So, because we're out here hurting. No,
The hell are you saying?
because that's what the asshole is going on about it. And that's how he treats people. He lets it run. If you're going to let other people have more time, then quit cutting people off than that. Give us our full 3 minutes instead of 2. Quit cutting our time, Victor Manuel Perez. Another height of arrogance.
Is he really cutting time? How's he cutting
Yes,
time?
because he's only giving us 2 minutes when we're allowed
But is he only
3.
putting 2 on the clock?
Yes. But if you like, he lets some people go on. He's cutting this gentleman off probably because he doesn't like what he's saying, because the gentleman is speaking the truth of what's going on. You other 4 supervisors, you should put the motion on the table that a majority of the board can overrule the chair. Nobody should have dictatorial powers. I don't care who's sitting in the seat. I don't care if it's Jeff Hewitt, Kevin Jeffries, or Jesus Christ. The other board members on a majority, if the chair is getting out of hand, should be able to overrule him, and that's the way and because that is what state law is. They had to amend it over that to make their own rule to do this, and they ain't got enough guts to win that. And Perez, again, just like the last time, well, he cuts a recess on it because he doesn't like what's going on in the meeting, and he doesn't like the comments. That's how much of an arrogant blank this guy is.
How long was the recess? 5 minutes?
It was shorter. This last time they made us wait a half hour. I think it was about 15 minutes this time.
To take a break, maybe he had to pee. I'm just saying.
Right.
Hey, you never know. Stop slamming stuff down. You mess up my earbuds.
Well, when I see Victor Manuel Perez, it tends to get my dander up on this whole thing.
Don't let it. It ain't worth it.
I want to get to the Tony Bobulinsku deal that the dominant media is ignoring en masse on that. He was, Tucker Carlson on Fox News had an interview with him. We're going to play the first clip of the intro of it right now.
So it was clear to you that Joe Biden's son had told him about this business?
Crystal clear.
Crystal clear. Tell us about the conversation that subsequently occurred between you and Joe Biden.
So the conversation, as you're well aware, Tucker, I grew up the son of a career naval officer. So the president of the United States was always the commander-in-chief, whether they were a Democrat, a Republican, or other. And so I had the highest respect for Joe and the office that he had held. And so I stood up and shook his hand, and obviously we sat down and I think ordered some drinks. I think Jim Biden was hungry and might have ordered some food. And, Joe asked me to talk about my background, my family. He thanked me for my service. I'm obviously very proud of that, proud of my brother's service and my grandfather's service. And then he walked through sort of his family, obviously some of the tragedies they've dealt with, his political career, and a high level. We didn't go into too much detail on business because prior to Joe showing up, Hunter and Jim had coached me. Listen, we won't go into too much detail here. This is just a high-level discussion and meeting. So it's not like I was drilling down with Joe about cap tables and details.
So you've said that they wanted you to meet Joe Biden as a way to induce you to participate in this deal. You were the actual business guy here who had management experience, deal experience. But it also sounds like Joe Biden was vetting you to some extent.
Yes, of course. I didn't request to meet with Joe. They requested that I meet with Joe. And, he's putting his, and Hunter says this in writing, it was referenced multiple times. They were putting their entire family legacy on the line. They knew exactly what they were doing. They were dealing with a Chinese-owned, enterprise run by Chairman Yi, CFC, that had strong financial support and political support from the Chinese Communist Party. That's how it was presented to me. That's not my own words. That's how they presented it to me and read me in on it. And
they being Gillier and Hunter Biden.
They being
There you
Hunter
go.
Biden, who was very proud.
There you go. He's saying it right there. The Chi-Coms were owning the Bidens. You want to turn this into a Chinese communist
That's what
country?
You need to
Vote for
explain Chi-Con. What is it? Chi-Cons?
Chi-Com. Chinese communist.
For those of you
Chi-Coms.
that don't know what the hell he's saying. I'm just saying. Why does it do that? See? I just switched.
Of that. No, there it is. The man, you didn't meet with Joe Biden. This guy
Carla
did.
writes in, oh my God, are you serious? Hunter is not running for president.
Joe Biden is, and the man said he met with Joe Biden, and he said it. Carla, go
I'm
back
just
and
reading the
listen.
comments.
Listen, Carla. This is going to be very important when we have Susan Shelley, and you've got to listen carefully. It's Joe Biden was selling us out.
She said, let's investigate the Trumps. There's a lot of dirty laundry there. I hate laundry.
Yeah, the typical technique when you're losing an argument, deflect, go to the other side, and do not address. When I will answer your question, when you admit Joe Biden is going to take us down and has and will and continue to take us down the road to communism. Here's clip number 2.
This for the American people as much as I can. On May 13th, that email was sent from James Gillier to me. I didn't generate that email. James Gillier generated that email. And in that email, James Gillier goes through intimate detail of what each individual's requests were from a compensation perspective and how the equity in the enterprise would be divvied up. Very important. May 13th. That email was generated by somebody else to me. In that email, there's a statement where they go through the equity. Jim Biden's referenced as 10%, doesn't say Biden, it says Jim. And then it has 10% for the big guy held by H. I 1,000% sit here and know that the big guy is referencing Joe Biden. That's crystal clear to me because I lived it. I met with the former vice president in person multiple times, and I had been meeting and talking with Hunter Biden and Jim Biden and Rob Walker and James Gillier. Where the media has tried to...
So there you go. You weren't in the meeting, Carla, or anybody else. This guy was. This guy's talking to Joe Biden. This is what Joe Biden is telling him and all the stuff, and you're seeing the documents. Here we go with number 3. This is a conversation between Tony Bobulinsku and Jim Biden, brother of Joe Biden, and Tony's asking them, how in the hell are you getting away with this?
The Biden family, how are they doing this? I know Joe decided not to run in 2016, but what if he ran in the future? Aren't they taking political risk or headline risk? And I remember looking at Jim Biden and saying, how are you guys getting away with this? Aren't you concerned? And he looked at me and he laughed a little bit and said, plausible deniability.
Let's take that plausible deniability. That's why Joe Biden's fingerprints are not on this stuff except for these little email gaffes, and why they said in the emails that were released, or that, and it's a good indication, we cannot be talking about this, or do not be texting or doing anything about this or saying anything. It's all got to be by private communication. Back in the mob days, they didn't even use pay phones. They did it all.
Did they do the burner phones?
Did they? But no, they did it all. That's why they had their little, like they called them carrier pigeons. Yeah, they would have guys that would run the messages back and forth because they didn't. Back in the day when you had to tap a telephone or something, they were so paranoid of it, just the regular telephone lines, which are tiddlywinks compared to what's going on today, that they wouldn't even use the phone. And that's the crime family, and that's why we call them the Biden crime family. Because they know. But what they did not factor in was cocaine chasing, whore chasing little Hunter, leaving his computers and stuff laying around on that, and is exposing the real behind the scenes stuff that is going on. And Tony Bobulinsky was right in the middle of it, and he's looking at that and saying, this doesn't look right. How do you do that? And plausible deniability. That even used word by the Clintons.
1 minute.
By everybody.
Hi, Sean.
Hi, Stephanie.
You can take of that, and that's why they're trying. They did not want Joe's fingerprints on this because they knew it would blow up. But the business of the Bidens has been selling out the United States of America for decades. They have profited immensely. And why is Hunter robbing his daughter saying, I'm not going to keep 50% like Pop is?
Carla writes in, so why does Trump have a secret China account?
Because he has freaking businesses in China, unlike he has
all right,
legal
guys, here we go.
businesses in
10
China,
seconds.
unlike Biden, who's selling us out
Smartphone
to the
apps. Go to KMET1490am.com and download your free phone app today.
IE Newswire Daily is on the air.
The following is a paid program. Views and claims expressed are those of the program producer and are not endorsed by this station. Opinions expressed are not necessarily those of radio station KMET, its management, employees, or affiliates.
There's that funky slide guitar music that comes on every Monday through Friday on the Moderate. 1490 AM, broadcasting all over the Inland Empire. Joining us on our audience that starts live at 5 on IE Newswire on Twitch, Facebook, and
on YouTube. Make sure you hit that like and subscribe button and shares all over your world.
there you go. On a
I don't even remember.
Washed Up Wednesday. Of that. People get the blogs on that, but just an update on that before we get to our guest, Susan Shelley, here in a few minutes of that. Justin Turner should be MVP of the World Series. They jerked him from the game in the 7th inning because he tested positive for COVID. Said, oh, you can't go out of the clubhouse, you're in isolation. Well, the Dodgers won the World Series, and we're boycotting all these pro sports that are going along and hosing us over. But Justin Turner said, screw that. They won. He went outside, celebrated with his teammates on that at the deal on that. I just want to put the picture up of that. There's Justin Turner celebrating with his teammates, as he should be, giving the finger to the establishment of all the people that are highly not at risk for anything of COVID. It's got to be 20 and 30-year-old, very highly conditioned athletes that are doing that. So hoorah, woohoo, and everything else for Justin Turner for going back out there and celebrating with his teammates, and a big red circle with the line from Major League Baseball, the Dodgers, for pulling this guy out of the game for no reason at all other than to control us and make us ever so grateful that they're going, maybe they will give us a cookie at the end of the day if we're really, 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 really good and we don't cause a ruckus.
Carla writes in, yes, I was furious on that. I love my Dodgers.
Well, maybe this is the first sign of Carla seeing the light of what's going on.
Be nice to my Carla.
I'm always nice to Carla.
Know.
We like to go back and forth.
Yeah, I'm sure she's enjoying the hell out of it right now.
Yes. Well, I mean, I like it, we don't take it, at least I don't take it personally. I like the back and forth dialogue. It makes good radio and video and stuff like that.
We love you, Carla.
Yes, we do. On that. The other thing, we went through the Tony Bobulinsky, had an in-depth interview with Hunter Biden. He said Joe Biden definitely knew that. He's been selling us out to the Chi-Coms for decades, and he asked Jim Biden the important question, how the hell are you getting away with this? And he said plausible deniability. That's why they were trying to keep Joe Biden's fingerprints off of the leader of the Biden crime family. that goes on this stuff each and every day. They've been doing it for decades. They're crookeder than the day is long. And if you vote support for Joe Biden, you are supporting the destruction of the United States of America as a free country, and you are supporting the Chinese taking this over, communism, living in Gavin's gulag, and everything else. That's what they are about. There is no question anymore about any of this, of that. So let's put it on the table. If you got a Biden, if you are voting Biden, you are voting communism, Marxism, and everything else. If what has been breaking of that, and why do you think the dominant media wants to bury this story? Like, if Trump was anywhere, if Trump had 1% of the evidence of this like that, they would be broadcasting it 24/7, 365. Remember the old air horn sirens that were going off when the bombs were going off in World War II? They'd have those, they'd bring them back in the community broadcasting this. But we have other issues, and I wanted to get into it because it did for the Riverside County thing, but there's another thing. You want to see the corruption, and it doesn't go to, I call them the establishment. It runs across party lines and stuff. They do the same thing. And there was no other shining example of this. Then I heard an ad on the radio supporting Prop 19, which I looked in my Howard Jarvis proposition guide, and I'm seeing they're against it. So I see Jim Brulty, number one of the Republican establishment, in my words, trash, that has been ruining the state of California for decades. He's supporting it. And then I hear David Wolf, who has been on the show before, Howard Jarvis Taxpayers Association, former legislative advisor or some darn thing, and I'm going, what? Is he still working for them, or this does not sound right? If he's not working for them, how is he using, or he is former, then why is he using their name? Is this a deception to try and get you to vote for something of that? This happens all the time on that. And to address this issue, maybe we're going to have our longtime guest on. She's the editorial writer for the Press Enterprise, San Bernardino Sun, Inland Daily Bulletin, and Redlands Daily Facts. But more importantly, and this is why it's so apropos, Vice President of the Howard Jarvis Taxpayers Association, Susan Shelley. Welcome to IE Newswire with Stephanie and Roy.
Thank you, Roy. Great to be with you. And you're right, that is the most deceptive ad, and it is for the most deceptive ballot proposition on the November ballot, and maybe ever in California. So deceptive. Proposition 19 is a $1 billion tax hike on California families. It is not some kind of tax only on rich trust fund heirs with beach houses. It's on every property that's transferred from parents to children. Every property. Little houses, big houses, businesses, little apartment buildings, any kind of property that's transferred from parents to children would be reassessed to market value as of the date of transfer. And that is a huge tax increase. And in order to conceal this from the voters, the California Association of Realtors is producing $40 million worth of deceptive advertising, talking about things that are just ancillary, like the fire funding. It's a tiny little bit of what this proposition would do. What it is a massive tax increase. Very deceptive.
I could, again, it's like if you're most people that are familiar with the Howard Jarvis Taxpayers Association, starting in '78 with the with Prop 13 and all that, organization, our number one right now, and probably mainly our only defender against excessive taxation in the state of California on that. And a lot of people hold that as the gold standard. If they say this or that, you're going to have to convince them why to go against their recommendation, because they've been spot on, or this is their philosophy. Right for California of that, in my opinion. So That's what I'm saying. It's like we discussed it with the Riverside County stuff, and then we ran a clip earlier. But you have to listen carefully to how this is going. The people that are going to hear this, and they hear David Wolf, Howard Jarvis, Taxpayers Association, they're not going to. The former legislative analyst is going. They're just, most people are not going to compute that. So they're going to assume, or they're going to make the assumption, oh, Howard Jarvis Taxpayers Association is 419. Oh, I'm going to vote for it.
Don't vote for it. Vote no on 19. The Howard Jarvis Taxpayers Association is opposed to it, and the California Association of Realtors is funding a campaign that is paying David Wolf to use his former title, affiliated with Howard Jarvis, to confuse the voters. That's all that's going on here. And they're doing the same thing with former GOP chairman Jim Brulte, who is also a paid political consultant, and he is saying that he is personally voting for it. But when you look at the flyer, it shows him standing in front of an electronic screen with the words California Republican Party. And it would be very easy to think, well, the California Republican Party supports this, but they do not. They do not. The California Republican Party took no position on Proposition 19. I think they should have opposed it, but they took no position. And as a result, they cannot send out mailers saying that the party urges a yes vote on it, because the party does not. So what they've done is they've taken a former party chairman with a photograph of him standing in front of a banner that says California Republican Party, and they're trying to make you think that the California Republican Party endorses this measure. They do not. And they're trying to make you think that Howard Jarvis endorses this measure. It does not. Howard Jarvis opposes Proposition 19. It is $1 billion tax increase.
This is why it's important to listen to this show, because you will probably not get this information hardly anywhere else. And again, you have to. This is how they get away with this stuff. I mean, the same example. Right away, if Jim Brulte is for something, I automatically am against it. You're going to have to do a really good selling job for me to convince me to support anything Jim Brulte is. Because he was trotted out by the Bushes, and that he was with them by Poppy Bush and coming in here. They sent him into California to destroy California and work with the Democrats to turn this into a deep blue state. That's my opinion, and I'm sticking to it, and I think the evidence clearly shows that. This is how evil the establishment is. It runs across party lines, and you know what? It only knows one color. The color of my shirt, green. That's what they're doing. It doesn't matter. They will sell out. The establishment will sell you out for a wooden nickel. And I think that's what's going on, my opinion, and what's going on with Prop 19 right now with Jim Brulte and David Wolf. This is my opinion of that. And you're free to decide what you want, but look and listen and watch carefully.
Well, absolutely. Read the ballot arguments. Get that newsprint booklet that the Secretary of State mailed out to 21 million voters. Get that booklet and read the argument against 19 as well as the argument for it, and see what you think after you read both of those. Because the TV commercials are presenting an extremely misleading picture, and the print ads and the mailers are just a flat-out lie, and it is very disturbing to see an organization like the California Association of Realtors, which, after all, realtors represent that they can be trusted. This is their business. They give you a big stack of papers to sign when you're making this enormous purchase, and they say, trust us, we've read it, it's okay, sign here. And then they go and they do this, which is so misleading and so deceptive. And they are intentionally doing this to generate more real estate commissions by forcing people to sell their property because they can't afford the property taxes. That's what's going on here. When property is reassessed to market value, the taxes go up. So when someone inherits a property, unless it can move into it as a principal residence within a year, which of course doesn't apply to business properties, everything gets reassessed to market value, and the kids who have inherited that property owe 1% of the market value every year as a condition of keeping that property in the family. That is a huge tax increase from current law. currently, in the state constitution, you can transfer a home of any value and up to $1 million of assessed value of other properties, a business, vacation, cabin, whatever you've got, you can transfer it to your kids without reassessment. And this has enabled families to build intergenerational wealth, immigrant families to build businesses, people to invest 30 years of mortgage payments in a home and give it to their kids. And now, if this passes, all those properties will be reassessed to market value, and all those kids will be forced to sell because they can't come up with the cash to pay the taxes. And who's going to buy it? Wealthier people, businesses, corporations that want to own a lot of single-family homes and rent them out as a business and then securitize it and sell bonds on Wall Street against their portfolio of rental houses. It turns homes into a commodity. It turns small apartment buildings into gentrified condos because people will be selling these properties. They can't pay these tax bills. If this passes, it will be a heartbreak for so many families. You lose a parent, you get a tax bill. It's just horrible.
And let's talk about the other attack on the original Prop 13, the proposition on the ballot, Proposition 15, which is even potentially more dangerous than 19. Explain that one.
Proposition 15 revokes Proposition 13 for business properties, and it would raise taxes essentially on every business in California. How does that help us? They're already leaving. They're already laying people off. They can't open their doors because of COVID, and we're going to raise their taxes. Oh, great. That's a fine idea. So what this does is it revokes Prop 13 from business properties, and then they will all be reassessed to market value, no matter how much the original purchase price was. They'll be reassessed to market value. The taxes will go sky high, and small businesses will be hurt. Because small businesses that rent their space typically have a lease that requires them to pay the property taxes of the landlord. That's like in the contract. So the property tax cost is passed through to the little tailor shop, the shoe repair shop, the donut shop, the nail salon, the restaurant. All the businesses that rent their space are going to get huge new overhead costs because of this tax increase. And there's no protection for them at all. And that's Proposition 15. It takes away Proposition 13 from all these business properties in California. No reason to do it. No reason to do it. They just want the money, and the money's going to go to backfill pension debt. And it's really sad. It's not going to help the schools. It's not going to improve the classrooms. It's just going to go toward union negotiations for more pensions and more benefits. And how does that help us? All that economic damage, and it doesn't even help the schools. It's a terrible proposal. It's a direct attack on Prop 13. Prop 13 is the greatest stabilizing force to allow people in California to survive, to know what their property taxes are going to be, with predictability, with certainty. And this just blows that away. And guess what? When it doesn't raise enough money for the schools, who do you think they're coming after next?
Yes, and it's called a triple N lease, what Susan's talking about. And
Right.
I think it's it's probably a lot of rich people that own commercial industrial properties, but I think it's like 78% of small businesses lease or rent their particular avenues. And what a triple N lease means is if the property tax goes up, the property owner passes that on to you, the leasee, and your rent goes up.
Exactly. You get the bill for the property taxes. A triple lease means that you pay the maintenance, insurance, and property taxes that the landlord incurs in that property. And it's really very burdensome to put that on small businesses that have just been closed for 7 months. I mean, talk about the last nail in the box. I don't know why anyone would think this is a good idea. Among other things, it doesn't help the state of California's budget because we've just seen a demonstration, a very vivid demonstration, that when you hurt businesses, the revenue to the state and the local governments goes down. There's less income tax revenue. There's less corporate tax revenue. There's less sales tax revenue. When you hurt businesses, it hurts the government as well, and all the programs and all the people who depend on those programs. So what this would do is hurt businesses again, and it would be the same effect. So even if it raises more money in property taxes, they're going to lose money on all the other stuff as the businesses pack up and go and take their high salaries to New York or Florida or Nevada or Texas. There's a lot of other places people can run their businesses with much lower taxes than California. And if Prop 13 is destroyed, that's it. That's the last thing that's holding some of them here, is the reliability of the property tax bill. Because if that becomes an unreliable, unforeseeable cost, and all that Bay Area real estate, all that LA area real estate gets reassessed to market value, those are crazy prices. And everybody's going to owe 1% of the craziest prices every year as a cost of doing business. They'll have to raise their prices to the consumer. What else can they do? And that'll raise the cost of living. And guess what? California already has the highest poverty rate in the nation when the cost of living is taken into account. And this will just make it worse.
We got about 4 minutes left. I want you to touch on your column, California Needs a Better Election System.
California needs to go back to what we used to do. You know, we have all these problems where we're worried the polls are going to be too crowded. We're worried it's going to take too long to count the mail ballots. People say the post office may be overwhelmed, so don't mail your ballots. People are being scared off. If somebody threw a burning newspaper into a ballot collection box, that's not good. That's not very reassuring. So what should we do to fix this? Well, here's a thought. How about if we have assigned polling places in our neighborhood, and you can have an absentee ballot only if you request one, and you go to the polling place and you show an ID so that no one can impersonate you and illegally cast your ballot, and then you vote with ink on paper so nobody can hack into the system and change anything. And it still works when the power goes out. Ink on paper works when the power goes out. And then all the ballots are taken on the election night to Norwalk or the county seat in Riverside, San Bernardino, and they count them that night using the scanners that read the actual ballots and not scanners that make electronic scans that are read by another computer. And then we store them so they can be recounted without paying $200,000 to retrieve them. And how about that for an election system? We'll know on election night who won. It'll be totally secure. If the power goes out, it still works. We'll have paper rosters. We'll have paper ballots. How about that? That's the revolutionary system we need. Every change that's been made has created opportunities for fraud and error and mischief, and it's troubling. And really, we don't need to be doing any of this. We could go back to what we had and make it secure, and we'd be much better off.
Hashtag old school is cool.
Yeah, exactly.
Of that,
I know. Why did they ever change it?
It's the evil of technology. No, because it's much easier to... You're seeing how they're gaming the system of doing this to manipulate this to get done what they want. That's what the whole thing this is about. We fought it with the voting machines and all this stuff that was corrupt on all that stuff, and they just come back and they do. We allow them as a society to keep perfecting this, kind of like the crooks do when they go to jail.
But it was already perfected.
Yeah. Well, they've been doing this incrementally, one step and then another. You know, it was, we're going to decertify all the old voting equipment, so every county has to buy this electronic stuff. Okay? And then it's, well, we aren't sure that everybody's going to be able to get in at the polling places because it's slow and it's COVID and it's dangerous and we're not sure, so we want everybody to vote early. Well, guess what? They're trying to push everybody to vote before all this truth comes out about Joe Biden. That's what it looks like. The longer you wait, the more you hear, and we don't want that, right? So everybody vote early before this story breaks. And, you know, it's just wrong. It's just wrong. People should be able to vote on Election Day if they so choose. And they should be able to vote by mail, but they should have to ask for a mail ballot so we know there's a real person there.
Exactly on that. I almost, usually I'm anticipating Election Day. I'm just like, can it get here and get over with so we can just deal with whatever comes on?
Right.
Susan Shelley, you got about a minute. Tell them why they should join Howard Jarvis Taxpayers Association.
Join Howard Jarvis, the real Howard Jarvis, the one that doesn't come out in favor of tax increases, the authentic hjta.org, hjta.org. Join Howard Jarvis and strengthen the voice of taxpayers in California, because the stronger we are, the more we win. And the more we win, the better it is for your future in California. And if you don't want to give up on this state, and I don't want to give up on this state, join Howard Jarvis and help us fight to get it back on track.
Thank you, Susan. We'll do it again next week.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye.
It is. Again, like I say with this voter, like Sue's vote early, vote often.
But she had such a point that they were, I didn't even think of that. They were rushing people to vote before it all came out.
Again, don't listen to Roy. I said these 30-day election cycles are not good.
Did you say that?
For ever since they started encouraging the mail-in ballot, we don't. Polls are too expensive. Well, because in most cases, like I say, you don't listen to the fine print of that coming in.
What are you trying to say?
That's like, well, no, it's like the David Wolf Howard Jarvis taxpayer. If you're not a nutcase like the 0.001% like me are, you would bypass that former legislative analyst part, and I'm not faulting anybody for that, because that's what it's designed to do.
Right, we just can't all be smart and perfect like you.
Well, no, but that's why you need to listen to the show, because you'll get educated on all this stuff.
Well, I'm too busy running the show.
Of that, no.
So everybody else listen. Edward writes in, Democrats never saw a tax they didn't love.
Correctamundo, Edward. That. And Republicans, too. Jim Brolty. He was sent in by all you Bush lovers that were supporting the Republican Party of that, and Jim Brolty and this and that in California. Jim Brolty with the Bushes were converting with the Democrats, fornicating with the Democrats. So let's get right down to it. To fornicate us right out of our existence in California. And so it knows no part in Carla. I don't hear you talking about Obama the racist. He said he was going to transform America. You thought, we're all going to have racial harmony. No, that's the real racist. And the transformation was the Obamas, the Clintons, and the establishment and the Brolties were going to rule, and the Bushes were going to Clintons were going to rule this place, and you were going to be on the plantation as a slave. That's what the transformation was about. That's what the transformation of America Obama was talking about. He was not talking about George Washington, 1776, Mom and Apple Pie and Chevrolet. He was talking about making you a slave and keeping you on the plantation.
Stephen writes in, hey, everyone, welcome to the Roy is Right show.
Thank you, Stephen. I love it.
We're no longer friends. But it's cool. I read it anyways.
Well, hey, that's it. Again, the
amount of right that you are really pisses me off.
The frustration about this is, more people need to get it, and we're aiming to bring you the truth, the real facts, and as it is, because no other show does it like this. And until tomorrow, we're gone.